Also, all of this talk about a race war and all this stuff. Look, that's all a bunch of hype and everything. I truly do not believe that will ever happen. I really don't think that will happen. As inflamed as things are, I don't think it would happen. For one, because I mean, who's going to initiate it? I mean, it certainly isn't going to be the white people. I mean, we're not just all of a sudden just going to like get in our trucks and vans and whatever and drive into the black neighborhoods and start shooting at people. I mean, that's just not going to happen. Now, in the reverse, I don't think black people are going to try to come into white neighborhoods and do that. I don't think they're really ready to do that. I mean, that would fizzle out real quick. I mean, freaking, your homies load up in a $500 Impala with $4,000 wheels. They leave and you never see them again. Would basically that's what that would culminate in, and that would fizzle out probably within a week. There may be a few instances of it, but once the details of what's happening got out, that would stop pretty quick. It would just take uh, uh, a few instances, happenings, to see that that's just not going to work. So, as a war, yeah, will little pockets of things happen? Will acts of violence pop off places? Could it could, but an all-out, full-scale race war would not last any time at all. You know it. I know it. Even if you don't want to admit it to yourselves, at your own peril, that's fine. But I mean, I wouldn't suggest any of that happening. We ain't going to pop it off. That's for damn sure.
First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Yahweh is to this world ignorantly caused God. Yahweh Shai is to this world ignorantly caused Jesus. Bahashem means in the name, Rakah means spirit, and Kodash means holy. And that's on the Paleo Hebrew. I also want to give double honors to the elder bishops and apostles of Great Millstone that taught me this truth. So, a couple things this guy said which are not correct at all. This guy says there's not going to be a race war, but guess what? Prophecy says otherwise. Right? He was speaking as a man. He was saying, I don't think any of this is going to happen, but guess what? The Lord already wrote that it was going to take place. So yes, a race war is coming to America, and it's coming worldwide. Now, one thing he specifies specifically was that who's gonna start it? Who's gonna come out here and do, throw the first rock? And he said, I don't think it's gonna be the blacks. I don't think it's gonna be the whites. Well, ultimately, who it's gonna be is the setup. Okay, when you look at, this whole race war thing that people are talking about, all the chaos, the corruption, the war that we see comes from the top banking families, the elites. Okay, those that are at the top moving strings to move forward their agenda. That 2030 NWO agenda. So, part of that agenda is to divide the people, right? Have full control over the people. And in order to do that, a race war. That's a perfect scenario. Now, how do they do that? They set someone up to go and commit some type of atrocity. Right? An example was MLK. Right? Martin Luther King was a setup. Right? When you look at who he was, you'll find that he was funded by the Rothschilds and has a bunch of pictures, a hanging out, dealing, with those people. And it came out that he was set up to do what he did. And there's going to be more people just like him that are going to come in the future and be setups. They're going to look like revolutionaries and, heroes, but at the end of the day, they're just playing their part. And that's who's going to be the one, that starts everything. And from that point, once the first rock is thrown and the other party throws the other rock, from that point it's done because people are going to start throwing the rocks themselves. And after that, it's just a snowball effect. Now, one thing he said also that came to mind was that he said that, It might happen for a little bit, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, but then it's gonna fizzle out once you see your homie leave in the Cadillac and he doesn't come back. Now the reason things are not gonna fizzle out is because these type of events are gonna be happening because of necessity, right? People are not gonna just be fighting each other because, oh, you're black. No, that's gonna be motivation, yes, but the real motivator is going to be the fact that there's not going to be any food, right? That we're going to be in difficult times, that money is not going to stretch. That's why people are going to be, breaking down your door, trying to take what you have because of famine. Let's get that in 2nd Ezra chapter 15 and verse 16. It says, "For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard the kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power." Right? So sedition, right? With sedition is coming up against the government. And they're not going to care what the government says, the kings nor princes, the governors. Everybody's going to do whatever they want to do. The course of their actions shall stand in their power. It says, "A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able." Right? Strict military lockdowns. Okay? Extensive, identification of who you are to be able to enter and leave a city. Right? And you know what that ID is going to be. Okay? That MOTB, that chip in the hand or in the forehead. That's going to be your identification. It says, "For because of their pride the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods, because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation." And that's the key point, is that the reason people are going to be out here whacking each other, going house to house, trying to find what you have, is because of the lack of bread, so no food, okay, great famine, and for great tribulation. And I searched up the definition of tribulation. It says, refers to suffering, distresses, or hardship. It can describe the everyday challenges and difficulties of life, or it can be used in a more specific context, such as the biblical concept of the Great Tribulation, right, which is Jacob's trouble, which is soon coming. Okay, it's going to be a time like never before seen, a time so terrible that, when Esdras was seeing these visions, he was saying himself, right, who shall survive in those days? Because it was that bad what he was seeing. So that's why, people are not going to fizzle out, is because they're not going to have an option. It's going to be, either kick down your homie's door or kick down, a relative's door or kick somebody's door down, because the Walmarts, the Costco's, the Sam's Clubs are not going to have food, right? All of that is going to instantly disappeared. Talks about that in 2nd Ezra chapter 9 and verse sown places. 2nd Ezra chapter 6 and verse 22, it says, "And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty." Right? So when a certain type of event happens, whether it's a blackout, whether it's, war being fully made mandatory, martial law, the draft letter comes out, when some type of big event goes down, the first thing people would do is run to the stores, run to the sown places, the storehouses. And that's why they're suddenly going to be found empty, because people are going to be panic buying. And that's going to lead to famine, okay, because food is not going to be coming in, at the same rate it used to be, okay. And it talks about that in the scripture, how, people are going to be lamenting for the teats, okay, lamenting for the teats and for the pleasant fields, specifically the woman. Isaiah chapter 32 and verse 9, it says, "Rise up, ye women that are at ease, hear my voice, ye careless daughters, give ear unto my speech." Right? And it's funny that it says women, because the women are the ones that are going to feel it the most. Okay, when society completely collapses, the women are going to be the weaklings. Okay, and you're gonna see how all that feminism, all that, hey, I'm gonna do it by myself spirit, okay, I'm a boss woman spirit, is gonna go out the window. Okay, women are gonna go back to their natural order of being submissive. Okay, and the reason why is because they're not gonna have protection. Right, all that boxing and jujitsu and taekwondo that they learn is not gonna work against a man that weighs double her weight. Okay, all that goes out the window. Okay, there's a reason why they have boxing. They have weight classes in boxing, right? Because if a dude weighs more than you, it doesn't matter how hard you hit. What technique you have. Like, he's just gonna simply overpower you. So it says, "Many days and years shall ye be troubled, ye careless women, for the vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come. Tremble, ye women that are at ease, be troubled, ye careless ones, strip you and make you bare, and gird sackcloth upon your loins. They shall lament for the teats, for the pleasant fields, and for the fruitful vine." Right, and that's exactly, what's going to come is that when things really get hard, people are going to look back to times like this when they say, "Oh, I'm struggling right now." You got people saying they're struggling right now, but just wait till everything is gone. They're going to be looking at moments like this, like the glory days. Oh, I remember when I was pumping gas for, 350. I was for $3. I remember those days. Right, we're going to be in times where gas costs a $40, a gallon, $40 a liter, or whatever the measurement is. Okay? Hey, that's the reality. Everything is going to skyrocket, hyperinflation. And that's going to be the fuel for a race war. That's going to be why people are going to be kicking down each other's doors. Okay, not just a little, measly conflict. Let's get this also here in Isaiah chapter 19. And when it talks about Egypt here, it's talking about America. It says, "The burden of Egypt, behold, Yahweh rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt. And the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it." Right, talking about the Lord's second coming. It says, "And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight every one against his brother, and every one against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom." Right, so there you have it. Okay, neighbor against neighbor, American against American. "And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I'll destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to the idols, and to the charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to wizards." Okay, so people are going to be looking for answers, because everything that they know is going to fail them. Everything. So they're going to be looking for the left-hand side. They're going to be looking for something spiritual, because the carnal is no longer going to have solutions. Okay, when they realize that I can't work, right, it talks about how there's not going to be any work, how, they don't have food at home, there's no food in the supermarkets, and, they're going to try to think of something else. They're running down people's houses, but those people also don't have food. They're going to start worshiping Satan in that day. In that day, we're going to see some real lunatics and demons pop out, because that's going to be their only solution. Okay? Whereas the elect are going to have faith in Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, and are going to have more than enough. Okay? More than enough. So, just wait. Okay? Beautiful times we're living in. Now, I just realized I wasn't showing my other screen when I went into the other tab here on 2nd Esdras. That's tough. Regardless, as I was saying, it's going to be a time like never before seen. Okay, and yes, there is going to be a race war. It is going to get difficult. And it's not about what you think, it's about the Lord thinks. So I'll leave it there. Hopefully this was edifying. With that, to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai Ba'Shem Rakakwadash, and double honors to the elder bishops and apostles of Great Millstone that taught me this truth. Shalom to you, like Shalom.